All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that video on the Back to the Future DeLorean. What's this? According to the time circuits, you guys haven't seen it yet. We got to rectify that. We'll go back and check it out. 2024. Perfect. Check out the video and make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit like. All right, guys, we're here with Owen Day. I've known him for a few years on and off, and Comic-Con, he always dresses Back to the Future stuff. And I found out this year he actually has a DeLorean. So we're here to take a look at it and learn a little bit about it. So let's get into it. So introduce yourself. Let us know what your love of Back to the Future is, and tell us about this awesome time machine.
I'm Owen Day. I've been a fan of Back to the Future since I was a little kid and everything, and I was just very inspired because growing up with like a type of learning disability, there were some things that would have to take something to catch my attention, and the movie was one of them. I'm sure it started out with part 3 because I love trains, model trains growing up.
Me too.
I love that concept of the colorfulness of like cool characters, friends, and the Old West. Obviously the train scene, and then just this cool car, and then however it was building up to where I watched part 1, and I'm just floored by it. You know, it's just one of those movies that just is really hard to do again. You know?
Yeah. So you got a real DeLorean here. When did you get this? What's the story of the DeLorean?
This was about 2 years ago, in July, July 9th or July 10th. I got it on July 10th, 2 years ago in 2022, and it's out in Milton. There's a guy who specializes in doing these cars, you know, fixing them and restoring them and selling them if he has any, and he had one.
Wow.
I went down there in April of 2022 just to check out his shop and see what he had, and I think he told me there was one in the shop, and he would show me probably what it was, kinda, it was all tucked in there. And however long that was going to take to restore, I said, okay, yeah, let me know when I guess you're probably finished, and I'll save up some pennies and everything. And then just a few months later, he calls me up saying, like, okay, I got this one you're going to want. The engine's been rebuilt, it's been rewired, the seats are reupholstered, it's got a new exhaust, and yeah, so it's a perfect condition car. It's a desert car from Albuquerque in '84. Went all the way to Arizona, and then it was in Alberta, and then to New Richmond, or Richmond, and then St. Thomas. So it's 4 locations. I don't know how many owners. So he told me about it and told me the price. I think it was like maybe 10 or 15 grand more than what I was going to pay for. And I'm like, I'll probably take the one that's in the shop. So I told my dad about it. He said, so what's his number? I'm like, okay, I give him the number. And then he calls me up the next day at my job. I'm a truck driver, so so I'm driving, and he's saying to me, so how do you feel about being a DeLorean owner? And I'm like, what did you do? You know, so I guess I bite the bullet with just probably 15 or so grand more to pay for the car, and voila, here it is. You know.
Yeah, it was incredible. When I first saw it at London Comic-Con this year, I was like, I've never actually seen a DeLorean in person, so this was awesome. And then, and then to have it be a time machine, which you said all this stuff it can all come off, so you can just have a stock DeLorean, correct?
Yeah. What I would have really had to have done, since this is my fan version, so to really do one, I'd have to remove the windows in the Louvre on the side, the windows on the side in the Louvre.
Yeah.
Even the back window so it's optional. But it's advised probably to take it out. These would have probably had to been screwed down. The wiring where the P clamps are would have had to been screwed into the metal. But gratefully, my friend Ken, if anybody who's a time machine owner knows who Ken is, you know, he organizes events down in California sometimes doing the Back to the Future events. Well, he did one definitely for the 2015 anniversary, which is the biggest one that I wish I could have been a part of. But he also had things that said were just hanging on. Like he grabbed the flux bands and did that, and like, oh, okay, that kind of fills me with hope. And I was, after getting in the car, I thought it was just probably the interior I was going to do, which I could make it fully look like it, you know, and even finding out for how to get things to hang on and such. But then finding out for the outside how I can have things hang on just by
magnets.
Well, kind of, yeah. Just only the P clamps on for the hose here, which is sandwiched because the car is stainless steel and it's not magnetic. So I have like 1 incher rare earth magnets, 2 of them stacked up, and then I have thin ones right there. So it's close to the car.
Nice.
And what they would have done for these would have been for real ones. People do is like it's like almost like aluminum piping or whatever. You know, it's hard to bend, so you have to like hammer it and go back and forth and do it. So these are Apex pipes, which are plastic, and I just hit it with a heat gun and then bend it in certain areas and everything. And I discovered this like a gutter guard at Canadian Tire. Ordered up on Amazon because they were expensive at Canadian Tire. Yeah. So these were very close. You know, it's basically almost pretty correct, other than the holes are very different, and had to drill out some holes because some of them were not done. And so I had to shape it and everything. And that is the flux boxes that are 6 of them. 2 of them I created on the bottom because they're different, but these 4 on the car are patterns from the A car that my friend did, and he sent me the blueprints, which I think he told me not to tell anybody, but oops, sorry. So anyway, he was part of the A team restoration for the car back in 2012 when they revealed it, so he was part of it for at least, I think, a couple of years they were making it. Mm-hmm. So he sent me the blueprints, and I had to ask him about the right color. He said it was like a ghost gray blue, you know, and I fashioned all, so that's what's holding it on, and I found a way to keep it attached to the car without drill, because he said on his car, those were the only things that were drilled into the car. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that, so I found a way to do it, which was, there's a torsion bar into the door where I have it wrapped there, and I have hooks on the end there, so it keeps from, when I brake, it won't go forward and everything, so it's all good, and handles in the wind very wonderfully. My dad was, when I was making this, he was a little about doing this because this is all just probably blown off, you know. Yeah. So when I had all these on, they weren't painted yet, and I had them just kind of slipped in here. They weren't hooked so well. But anyway, we went to test it out down the street for 50. So when I pulled out of the garage with this on, he's gonna follow me in the other car, and he's eyeing it. He's like, okay, yeah, that is cool, you know. So we go down the street. Stays on wonderfully, even though it wasn't all hooked in wonderfully. And then another day testing it out for the 60s and 70s, and still stayed. And when I had it fully nicely hooked in, and I went to test out for an 80 and 90 kilometer drives speeds, it stays. It doesn't wobble. It was all good. And it was very quick because these are all like hardboard. When I'm sure they use aluminum for these guys who make their vents and everything, you know. But I managed to make it work because it's lighter, won't hurt the lube, and I can take it off. It doesn't look like I warped it or anything, you know. Although I'm sure I have scratched the paint a little bit on the lube, which would have to get a repaint one day. Mm-hmm. If I sell it, then yeah, it would have to be repainted, you know. Yeah. And was very surprised that this thing could handle the highway speeds of going over 100, you know, and it just stays, you know. And so I got the right here. This is an actual Krups coffee grinder. Mm-hmm. I painted it into a cream color, which I'm sure was supposed to be white, you know. But I liked it's kind of my own version because, this is the right model. The coloring's not right because these are all supposed to be like clear gray. This little timing is supposed to be white. This does open. It's a 3D printed base right here. I have a little sewed on banana so it won't rot in there. I have to make more. And this right here is a actual undone 1985 Millican that they would have used in part 1. That dog would have filled up for beer and everything after coming back. And I have a 1989 can over there on the wall, which was been part 2. Yeah. And this is actually what they would have done in the movie in terms of changing the platform, because they would just take off the lid right here. Would have been. I'm probably going to get schooled for this from other times you notice, but probably from 1967 Plymouth cap, probably. I'm probably wrong. It's been a while. So I made this out of MDF wood. This is foam right here and plastic in between, and this can come loose right here. And what's amazing, the wind does not catch it or blow it off, which is very surprising. So I would remove the platform here with the screws, and underneath would be the cylinder plutonium chamber that this would go on and everything. And doing a part 1 or part 2 version is what a lot of people do. So 1 and 2 are the common cars to find out there on the road, you know, but part 3 seems to be a rarity to find, so I'm hoping for sure one day I will make it look like a part 3, so we'll have every variety. And probably when I have all the cars paid off for one day in the future, I would love to make a Doc Brown van. I'm hoping to do a truck.
Well, you got Marty's truck there as well.
Yes,
which is really
Marty's
awesome.
truck. Say the truck, word truck, and there it is.
Yeah.
So this is it's a 1987 though, not a, I think in the movie it would probably have been an 84 or maybe an 85, but possibly an 84 because those models, this kind of model would have been from 84 to 88. They're almost all looking the same. But yeah, this was an 87. I was at a show one time, a month after getting this. I see this was at the show and I go, oh, wow, you know, and then it's Marty's truck. It's a Toyota. It's a Toyota SR5. And then I look inside of the truck to obviously look in the interior, but then on the floor was a for sale sign.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, oh no. And I just bought this. What am I going to do? You know, and then I think I would call the guy up sometimes just to get to know him and everything and seeing like, hey, how's it going with the truck? You kind of selling it? You know, is anybody, any takers? Like, yeah, there's been a couple. One, but hard because one guy couldn't fit in his garage. The other couldn't come up with the money. And it was bugging me for a whole month thinking like, oh, this would be perfect. Like, my dad can come in this, you know, we'll drive both of the cars instead of him coming in a regular car and parking and joining me. So he can come in this and then, so I say like, it had a best offer. It was almost like, it was $27,500 for the buy or it said best offer. So I say to him like, well, how would you feel about this for this price, I would say. And he's like, yeah, that would have been my bottom dollar. I'm like, okay, let me go butter up to my dad and see what I can do. And I borrowed some money from the bank, had a good portion of my own, and then bought a few for my dad. And then here it is.
Beautiful. You got a nice set here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this robot right here, like it's supposed to be a 4 kc light on the truck. Seeing it was only a 2 light holder, I figured out, oh, we could put a bar across and we can probably have it as like a 4 light holder.
Yeah.
And it works out. Yeah.
All right, so here's the front of the truck for you guys. I've already got some other footage of it that I'll put in B-roll,
Okay.
but anyway. So back to the car now, which is awesome. All right, you got like everything inside this. You got the little, the clock there, the antique clock.
Oh, that? Oh, yeah, the Bulova. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got a Copernicus or an Einstein.
Yep, that can work for both.
Yeah.
Depending on what outfit I'm wearing. If I'm wearing 85 or future Doc, and then or 55 Doc, yep, that's Copernicus.
All right, so give us a tour of inside. Show us some of the funky features.
Yeah. So eventually, well, obviously as cool as this is, I will get a sound module for these doors one day, and it'll look much, much more awesome.
Yes.
Right in here, as I made almost everything for the outside, I'm still working on that. It's a fan version, but inside, I knew I would love to do it at least as accurate as possible. So everything, because I'm not an electrician, and I'm part of a time machine group on Facebook. So there's always people talking about what they're doing with their cars, or the people who are selling, you know. So what I've seen here is for what you see for the time circuits, speedometer, flux capacitor lightings, and the little sit display behind the driver's seat. Those were from a guy in France, although I did make the flux capacitor myself. So I was really happy I could do that, you know.
Did you make a working one or just a prop one?
In here. It's real.
Okay.
In here, it's real.
Perfect response. I love that.
This also is from France, I think, from, oh shoot, what's the name? DeLorean Time Machine Parts. And back here is they're called twin relays. This is from the guy friends. So right here for the twin relays with this thing is called a Claire box, along with the dash boxes up there over there on the binnacle.
Oh yeah, over here.
Yeah, right up there, those black ones.
Those black boxes.
And this thing called an upper console. They're all from a guy named Peter. He knows a lot of the parts very well and knows it inside out. This one's from Uruguay, the plutonium chamber and the time switch. Those are from Uruguay. So the guy who I said for Peter, who made the parts, I asked, so it must be interesting that you're probably of the few people in the world that know the parts inside the car and everything. And he said, it's more like a sickness.
Yeah.
I could see, because he always gets down to detail, and everybody praises his work. It's all very authentic. He puts a lot of original pieces from that were done in the show and everything, even tiniest details that we don't see. Yeah, and I custom made the platform, which for people who make time machines, this would have this little sponge cushion in here would come out, and they would put the metal in there and then rearrange the windows switches and everything. But no, I decided I was going to build on top of that so I didn't have to hurt the car, and it's in there, and it's a lot of details, like the little things I had to work around and brainstorm about how am I going to make this work. So see, the speedometer right here is an actual GPS for when I drive. When I got it and I had it powered up, and I did you could program it to miles per hour. This was already programmed to kilometers per hour, so that was perfect. Yeah. Because this is an American car, so the dash is a American speeds, for miles per hour and everything. And as you see, no, it doesn't have to. There's no 95 there on the binnacle. That was all done in the movie and things. Yeah,
it goes up to 85 miles an hour there.
Well, it actually can go a little past. I think on a whole, that's just the limitation of the binnacle. But I think, from what I've seen, this car or these cars could probably go at least over 120 miles an hour, probably 122 if I remember, so that's cool. Yeah. And I have like a original, close replica remote. This is like a undergraded A+, like from the site I bought, like there's A+ remotes that would have like the right, it would have been a Futaba, and this is a Futaba, but it's not the right. It would have to all be green and everything. It has many more bells and whistles that it would have done, But it's close, and most
people wouldn't know.
Yeah, I was close, and I was pretty happy with that. Yeah. And that is an original 1984 JVC camera that they would have had, obviously for the parking lot scene, part 1.
A complete television studio.
Yeah. No wonder why your president is. No wonder your actor is a future president. He's got a local television. Yeah. Yeah. And I still have like a few more pieces I got to get into this on this wall. It's supposed to be like a couple of like wire porters that would look like it would feed into the back, to have some wires come out. Yeah. I have some gold relays that would have to go right there between the SID, that's called right there, and the flux capacitor wiring up and everything. I got to do some wiring decorations to make this look pretty legit, like it's going to do time travel, and along with wire hookups, to have everything feed through here to turn on the time circuits or everything else like that.
So are all these marked correctly? I would assume so.
They very much are. Yeah, that's leave it to the guy as I said, Peter. He knows all the details, and you're able to get a close up look of what everything, because it's at the museum, the Peterson Museum, the real car. Yeah. I don't know in terms of how well that probably would have handled in the elements, or did the lettering fade. I don't really know. Other than I'm sure that's pretty correct, I would say.
And your time circuits, you can set them to anything pretty much, right?
Yes, I can. Like, you want to say the sign of Declaration of Independence. Or witness the birth of Christ. Dang it, that's not cool.
Oh, nice.
Or the red of the date in the history of science, November 5th, 1955. I think that was probably the time, 6:38 a.m.
And there was, what's the other special feature you showed me earlier on this?
Oh yeah, like it's the guy who programmed this. He programmed it to where it can have a Johnny B. Good song. Oh, that's not right. I hit the 0. To either the release date or his birthday.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, it will play the whole song right there.
That's cool. All right. Well, thank you for showing us this.
You're welcome.
This is amazing. I can't wait to see it added onto in the years coming.
Yeah.
And maybe someday I'll actually get a chance to get a ride in it.
I don't mind keeping it.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you, Owen. And everybody make sure you hit that like button. Do
Hit it.
Hit it, yeah.
You won't regret it.
Or you will.